guys, we have some special news we want to share with y'all. We are proud to announce that we're now affiliate partners with Right Stuff Anime.
Right Stop is the largest of North America's anime specific retailer and distribution companies. They are your store for anime, manga, figures, and more.
You can shop merch from popular series such as My Hero Academia, Tokyo Ghoul, One Piece, Castlevania, and so much more.
And it gets even better. Right Stuff also allows you to use Sezzle on their online store. With Sezzle, you can shop now and pay later by dividing your total purchase into four equal parts and paying it off without any interest.
So you can afford to buy that huge manga haul in your wish list or that very nice anime figure that you've always wanted.
Having been longtime customers of Right Stuff Anime, we are thrilled to work with them officially.
Remember, if you enjoy our show and But Why Though Geek community, you can help show your support when you use our affiliate link to shop Right Stuff Anime.
Did You Have To is a proud member of the But Why Though podcast community.
Welcome back to Did You Have To, the podcast where two bad bitches talk about anime. And here are your hosts, Kate and Nisha. Yeah! Nisha's quirk, stress ball. By internalizing her stress about the world being in chaos and crime, she converts that stress into a superpower, becoming a badass. Kate's quirk, waifu warrior. By just watching her favorite shows, she can manifest real or fictional characters into the real thing. They come to life and fight by her side. Not every character does it, though. She has to find the individual really hot. Yeah!
Hey everybody, welcome back to Did You Have To? We've been away for a while, but we figured we'd come back strong with Castlevania. I'm Kate.
And I'm Nisha.
And holy shit, season 4!
Woo! You know what I can say now? Woo!
So if you've listened to our Castlevania episodes, if you listen to any episodes of this podcast, it's going to be filled with spoilers. If you have not watched it, this is where I very strongly say, stop listening to us and go watch the damn series. It literally takes 13 hours to watch the whole series. If you have not watched season 4, that takes about like 4-ish hours. You can do it. Go do it. Because, oh.
Yes, it's a lot. But we have a lot to talk about. Because if y'all don't know, this is me and Kate, one of our favorite anime together. So, and the fact that this was the final season, which like bittersweet, but like also I never thought I could see such a perfect ending. So
yeah, no, like, and this is like right off the bat, like just first impressions after finishing it. There are two studios who I can believe do no wrong. The first is Mappa, second is Powerhouse. And I think that what Powerhouse did with season 4 was they set that animation standard for US animation companies incredibly high. Like this is my standard. I don't want to see anything out of the US if it doesn't meet this. Because it's not knocking any of like the US animation that we usually get, but this is another caliber. Like this is an entirely different plane. Like when I think about adult animation, I think Powerhouse. When I think about like animated content from the US, I think Powerhouse. And what they also did was they showed not just how to end an animated series, they showed how you end a series. Yeah. They produced the best final season in anything I've ever watched.
I've never been more satisfied. Like that's just how I feel. This, from each character that I love, I've never felt this satisfied with the series ending. Like I'm okay with it ending because of how satisfied they left us in the final minutes, up until the final minutes.
Characters died and I was fine with it. Characters that I loved died. And I was like, you know what? That's good. I get it. I'm not mad.
You know, and that's the thing. Like nothing was for because when like series ends, like we've seen, obviously me and Kate being anime nerds, but also being writers and reviewing content and everything, we've seen a lot of film and TV and content. But it's one of those things where we know how series can end, and it's done in a way that just looks like it's rushed and it's not well thought out, and characters died, it doesn't make any sense, and stuff is done for shock value. None of that happens here. Everything has a purpose. Like character arcs, the story comes full circle. I just, God, I love it. Also, if y'all haven't already, go read Kate's review on it, because, I mean, again, spoilers, but go read the review on it because it does a great job of, like, for people who love the series too.
Yeah, I had a hard time. Like, I will say, I had to watch this. I've watched season 4 5 times now. 5. And it took me those 5 watches to find something that I didn't like. And it was a small thing that I understand they had to do, and I'll talk about it later. But like overall, like that review was like I finished watching Castlevania like the day after I got the screeners for it, and then the embargo was up 4 days later. And so I usually what I do is I'll write while I watch, and then I'll flesh out the review and finish it out, and I usually have it done like same day. That Castlevania review took me a long time. It took me the entire time that I had to write it. And then I watched it through again. Like I watched the series through again so I could get a better grasp. And the thing is I was trying to force myself, and I think that like every critic should do this. If there's something that you love and you're really passionate about, and you feel that there may be bias, I feel like you need to make yourself talk through your review and kind of talk through the stuff that you love to like make sure like, is this bias or is this like general like whatever. And I tried hard to find criticism. Like I gave them a 10. That 10, it was a hard decision, and it was a hard decision because I was in love with this as a fan, but I knew that my job as a critic was to be like as hard as I could be. And they just blew it out of the water. Like I couldn't knock anything. I couldn't see anything that would I don't know. It was just hard. It's like almost 3,000 words. Like it's a very long review, but it's very detailed. I keep it mostly spoiler free. But there's just so much, y'all. Like I don't know how in 10 like 20-ish minute episodes you can do that much character growth. I don't know how. Like I watch full like 10 episode 1 hour series. Don't pull off the type of like conclusion and character growth that Castlevania does.
Game of Thrones had a whole hour.
That's how you fumble the bag right there.
Yeah. Well, we won't go into Game of Thrones because that's not an anime, and we don't talk about them here. But anyways, let's just dive on in.
I will say Castlevania showed you how you do a mad queen trope.
You know what?
Appropriately.
Appropriately. Cersei wish she was half the queen that Carmilla is. I bitch wish she would. But woo, let's just dive on into it. Because I think that covers our first thoughts. So yeah. Okay. So do you want to do we need to give a synopsis here? And I can cut this out. Okay.
I don't know. And we do a quick into Castlevania 3. Everybody's fucking sad. Everybody. That's your lead-in. Everybody has been emotionally manipulated, traumatized in many different, except for Isaac, because he's a king and he was on top that at the end of the last season.
King shit. Yes. Love it.
So Isaac has just completely decimated Genoa and Legion and just wrecked shop, doing real well for himself. Sweet baby Hector has been completely gutted as a character. He has had all his agency stripped from him, and he's become Lenore's puppy. Alucard is turning into his father
Yep.
and also understanding why his father is doing things because he was completely betrayed by Takansumi. And Sypha and Trevor were on a high note until they realized that they helped a child killer. And now Trevor's like, we're in my story. I'm so sorry. And that's where season 4 picks up. It picks up directly after season 3, and you get to see Trevor and Sypha fighting stuff again, which is great. Like there are like 6 fights in the first 13 minutes of the series or something, or the season or something.
Yeah, I really liked how they opened up the the season with this one because it's basically, and given the time frame that we can guesstimate, because like basically when they left Alucard at the end of season 1, it was a month in season 2 after that, and then 6 weeks has gone by when they bring us to the present in season 4. So it's like all this stuff has transpired, and Dracula's only been dead for like roughly 2.5 months. So I think that kind of put things in perspective for me. But I like how it starts off with Trevor and Sypha just like really just having to go from one fight to another fight, and it's all about stopping people from bringing Dracula back, which kind of makes sense
Yeah.
because the premise of the video games um that the series is based off of is that's basically it. Someone's always trying to bring Dracula back to life. So it makes sense of them just being like, are you effing kidding me? Again, someone's trying to bring him back. Why would anyone do that? And I'm like, we are all Trevor in this moment. And they're just fed up of people trying to revive Dracula as they keep just having to fight and fight and fight. And they're at their wits' end. Like Cypher's cussing up a storm.
Yeah, so that was one of the other things. Like I loved the way that they opened this because you get like really heavy action, but at the same time, like you get to see another glimpse into their relationship because like it's a running joke where she's cussing and Trevor's just like, "What? Where did you learn that word?" And it's like she learned it from you.
You,
And
sir.
it is the most adorable bickering that is just perfect. What I really applaud Powerhouse for is giving us those small little emotional and intimate moments between characters while you're also fighting a whole bunch of shit and without doing some grand exposition moment. Like they've really crafted how to nail that. And visually too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all of that. So like that was really cool to see in this season. And like you're right, because like one of my favorite things from season 3 were us getting a peek at Trevor and Sypha's relationship outside of them fighting monsters and going like doing their thing as Benatis and Belmont, which is adorable and cute in itself. But then it's like, no, this shit you kind of see how this stuff has started to build up and like really hit Cypher in a way where it's like Trevor's like, this is life. This is my life. I'm used to this. You're not used to this. And it's like you can see it really taking a toll on her.
And it's adorable too because not saying that they're not winning in these fights, but it's a constant fight. Whereas like I feel like season 3, Sypha and Trevor, you have Sypha like being excited about the fight because she hadn't been in it. She hadn't seen it. And so she got to savor those moments, especially being with Trevor. And now it's just kind of like, oh no, this shit's actually exhausting.
Right. Because it takes a toll, especially when she sees just how depraved and dark things can get. It's not just monsters, it's people.
And that's just in like the first 15 minutes of episode 1.
Right. That's not an arc. That's literally the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then from there, Alucard is pretty much also turning into Trevor.
Yes.
Boy needs to drink more water. We learned that.
Yes.
But the biggest word of all, titty.
Titty.
Oh my God. Sadness has filled Alucard's pectorals and they are glorious. And he is officially a member of the Big Titty Gang. And I love it. If for whatever reason Powerhouse decides to listen to our mess of a podcast, whoever decided to show his titties nonstop this entire season, I will buy you a drink. I'm also in Austin. I will buy you a beer and or cocktail, or even if it's just like a boba tea, something that you're into. Cause thank you. Thank you for your
They
service.
literally take up the entire screen, and I'm here for it. So, yes, he is Big Titty Game. Do we know why people keep calling him the Alucard
I
and where that
don't
comes
know.
from?
I think I have no idea. I'm just gonna assume it's a game thing, but Taka and
Mm,
Sumi also call him the Alucard.
right. Because it's not like they call Dracula the Dracula. They call like I
I
don't.
think it's
Mm,
I think Alucard is just I think it's more like a title because he's like the anti-Dracula, if I remember correctly.
mm-hmm.
Because his name is Adrian Tepesh, and
Right.
he chooses not to go by that. And he
Mm-hmm.
chooses to go by what the Wallachian people call him, which is the Alucard.
Got it.
Or Alucard, not the Alucard. And so now he's like, why are you putting the in front of it?
Right. Interesting. So yeah, but it was really I mean, I think the most impressive thing for me is like from Alucard that we see in season 3 at the end, I did not think he would ever interact with people again. And I thought it was going to be a challenge for him to ever like to show any like emotion towards or not emotion, empathy towards people. But it's like surprisingly that's kind of his whole thing is to like open his heart again this season and to help those who like need his help and need his strength. And I thought that was like an interesting thing to see because I definitely thought Alucard was going to be in a worse place, and I was so scared that he was going to like die this season because everybody made me feel bad about not saying please protect Alucard. I just figured he'd be fine. Everybody said it was my fault if he would die, but he's okay. So Kate can't blame me. Thank God.
Yeah. And thankfully he's happy now. Um, but I think also, so we have that he goes to Dynasty to save people. He joins up, meets Saint Germain. Oh my God, which also don't ever be as thirsty as Saint Germain. Like, don't. If they don't give you the time of day, just say no. Just move on.
Right.
There's other booty in the sea. Like, you got that. No, dear Lord, no.
Obsessive.
Woo. And then you have Hector going about his business in the castle. Lenore kept up her end of the deal and are in fact or is in fact giving him a good life. He has a library, he has his own magic mirror, he's making deals. He's also planning a way out of there. So you see him
Hmm.
slowly getting a sense of his own agency and autonomy, even within being in the court of Styria. Morana and Striga are out to fight Carmilla's battles.
Hmm.
Carmilla's pretty obsessed with keeping taking over the world, and Isaac is just living his best life, feeding his night creatures berries.
I just love it. I love it. The way Isaac comes in this season, just you can see that there's like no tension in his shoulders, and I just love it for him. Uh, and he just has. I'm gonna say Isaac has, to me, the best character arc in the series. And I know that's
Yeah.
saying a lot. I feel like people might disagree with me, but I'm saying it for myself. He has the best
No,
character
I
arc.
agree. I agree. He has the strongest character arc. He also has the arc that does the most.
Hmm.
That does the most and pushes the most. And I think that that is one of the most important things.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
like it is. I think this the I'm blown away that like the overall theme of this series is encapsulated in Isaac.
Mm,
Um and that's something that's powerful because is pushing everybody is pushing towards where Isaac is. And that is something that I think is really powerful. And
mhm.
I think the fact that everybody makes mentions to everybody else's story is something that shows the beauty in the writing for Castlevania because in Trevor's big moment he says that it's time to build and we're murderers, we need to move out of the way, and that is a a reflection of what Isaac is saying. Isaac is saying that I need to build. He needs to do something more than just conquest. And it all goes back to what the captain told him, that once you have conquered, you are now a ruler, and it's up to you to do something. And I think that Isaac's role here is to do that thing. And I know that they have planned, or at least speculated online, a lot of people have said that there are other Castlevania franchises or Castlevania like ish stories coming out from this. The main story is just done. And I would personally really like to see a series just focused on Isaac. He's that strong of a character.
Definitely. He definitely is. And you know what? Just something you just said reminded me, like, there were a lot of great callbacks to like the previous seasons and other characters, like the example you said about Trevor. But there was also, even Trevor makes the same analogy where he's like, to Sypha and him, when he's like, we've been reacting and we need to act. And it's the same thing that Isaac is like basically saying out loud to himself. He's like, for so long I've reacted in my life and I didn't act. I was fine with being the knife for someone else to wield, but now I'm finding myself to be the hand that wields the knife. And it's like, wow, these are just like very powerful things, because it's true when you think about it in life in general. And it's like, in different ways you can just like kind of appreciate what both of those characters mean by those things, like
Yeah.
to react to the things that are happening to you, but and then to act to the things that you can do. Those are completely different things, and that really speaks to like taking control of what you
Exactly.
can in your life. And
Yeah. And I think that that's the strength that, and it's funny because for a while, I mean, and I love Trevor. This is not a knock against Trevor. He's my himbo. I love him with all my heart. I have a statue of him. But not that he was underwritten, but I feel like he's kind of just been floating around. Like he's the fighter, he's the other part of the group, and he hasn't really had a pretty strong voice outside of the first season once you introduce like the rest of the cast of characters. But in this one, you get moments where you can see Isaac's growth in him, not necessarily the same path, but like you said, it's kind of like this introspection. He understands where he is, and he understands that things needs to change, and he understands that he needs to do things different with Sypha to survive, but also to live and plan a future. And like, as like just like talking about character arcs, like Trevor very much like, I like the line that you bring up about like being the knife and being the hand. And Trevor from day one has said, I'm Trevor Belmont and I do not fear death. And that line from season 1 is carried into here when he fights death, and there's this beautiful, that in that entire animated sequence is beautiful, but when he stabs death and kills him, death is screaming, and Trevor just is like a not even a smile, just peace.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, like it's done. And that's that is him doing more than just react. He's planning for something else. And then you get the slip that Sypha's pregnant, like, or he's like, don't name it Traffer. And I was like, oh my, one, that's a callback to season 2. 2, holy shit, this man he's planning his future. He's gonna give his life for his unborn child.
Yeah.
He, like, the links and the worlds that Trevor has come across, just
the growth. And it's just like, that's it, like to see how far Trevor's come, and then like also Isaac, and then like other characters too, but like those two for sure, like two of my top favorites.
Yeah.
But it's just like you said, like I feel like Trevor, the series started centered on obviously Dracula, and like starting like where we started with Dracula and why he wanted to end the world, but then like it switched its focus to Trevor, and then like forming the trio and everything. And then it just felt like Trevor was there, like he was present, he contributed and everything. And like we know he had his own stuff going on too in his own journey, but like this season, like, man, I just fighting death, literally fighting death, and then being at peace with his own death. How?
Also, actually getting to hear him tell Sypha that he loves her.
Yes.
Oh
God.
And I think that exchange is so beautiful because he says, "I love you," and she's like, "I know." He's like, "You better know." And Trevor's
Yes.
a bad name, and it was just like it was so emotional. Like I feel like that's the beauty of season 4, especially with all the characters. And I know we kind of just jumped into talking about it all, but I don't care. This is our podcast.
Yes, we make the rules here.
There nothing feels cheaply won. Every decision that they made with each character, there's emotional buildup and emotional payoff. Um and I think, and this is where I'll mention my one critique of the series or the season, I personally really hate that there is that romantic involvement or like breadcrumbs with Greta for two reasons. One, her name's Greta Dynasty, which I'm assuming she's a gender swapped Dynasty from the video games, which was there a force to make Alucard straight like that? Like I'm not blaming Powerhouse. Like I wonder if Konami was like, hey, no, you like y'all showed him being an uke like last season. Y'all gotta make sure that people know that he also is straight. And it's like, no, he's bi. Like that was clearly established. And I feel for me it felt forced because for Alucard, even in the relationship with Taka and Sumi, it wasn't necessarily about romance or that type of connection. Alucard wants a family. And so for me to have all of the flirtations and all the touches and all the things between him and Greta, that's not what he needed. What he needed was to make his new village with his family, which is Alucard and Sypha. And throwing my like thruple brain out, like even platonic Sypha and Trevor, like that for me is the perfect recovery from where he was in season 3 because he has his family back and he has a family that is there to protect him, not to hurt him. And that's important to me. And so I feel like, and again, this is after 5 watches, the Greta stuff just it feels really forced. And I feel like I see it happen on a lot of like media where they're like, oh, this character like totally likes dudes, or like this character may be gay, and then somewhere in the next season they force them into a straight relationship and it's like, oh well. And like, and I'm not saying like Alucard is bi. He can be with a woman. Like that doesn't erase the fact that he's already canonically bi in this series. But especially given the backlash that that season 3 got for showing Alucard as an uke and showing him more explicitly involved sexually with the guy of the twins and not the girl, like I can't help but feel a little like, was that forced? Because his payoff and his emotion isn't her. Like nobody cares. Like you just met her. The payoff is that you're with your family again. That's the payoff. And your home that was completely destroyed and your room that was destroyed and your like all of that can be rebuilt with your new family. And it just bugs me. That's my only issue. And I know it sounds like it was a big issue, but like it literally took me 5 watches to like feel this way. So you did good, Powerhouse. Come on.
I think you bring up a good point though, because if you take out Greta and if you put a man there instead, I mean, you could have the same plot. Because
exactly.
I think Greta serves a purpose as far as it's like Greta is basically what Lisa was to Dracula when Dracula first met Lisa. It's his way to kind of like, it's that person to reconnect with humanity and show him
Fair,
that.
yeah.
And so what?
I said that's fair.
Oh, yeah. So I'm like, it's he just needed that person there to reconnect, and I think that was her whole purpose, was for him to have someone to connect with and talk with. So it's like Greta could have been a man or a woman. And I personally, that's how I just feel. I mean, like, I love Greta. I'm just saying, like, if you made Greta a man, I don't see any difference happening.
Yeah.
Like, you
shout out for giving us 3 brown women this season. Also, she didn't have to be a woman. You could have given me another brown dude. Would have been fine with it.
But yeah, I guess like that was my whole thing with it. It's just like, because even at the end, I did like how Greta does like her line to Alucard is like, I heard you are a weird person, and I like it's like it brings back to what his father said to his mother for the first when he's
Yeah.
like, I think I might like you.
Which is why I'm like, this is
Right.
clearly supposed to be romantic.
Right. Oh no, they were
And
definitely flirting the entire
and
time.
I am like, why? Why?
They were
Why
flirting.
do you give me and this also may just come from like personal bias too. Why do you give me like the Uke golden standard and then be like, oh no, straight relationship? Like no, and I mean, and like Greta's bi too, so that's cool, but like also, why did he just open up to her about talking Sumi like right there and then? Like they're just walking in the forest, known you for an hour. Oh yeah, and I was in a threesome that turned violent, and I slit their throats and pinned them out and like put them on spikes outside my castle. Like
He had all that pent up. He needed to talk to somebody.
I love my Alucard. I love him.
Right.
I love the titties, but y'all, like I don't know.
You bring up a good point though, because if there was a lot of backlash from the previous season, I could see why that might have been some motivation in the choice. Who knows? I would be interested to know if that would be the case, because I really do feel like Greta could be a man or a woman.
Yeah,
like I love the character, but it's like truthfully, if you made her into a man, you would have to change nothing about anything she says.
Yeah,
but
nothing at all.
Yeah. So then there was
the only thing I can think of is that they gender swapped her to make it give more gender parity to the speaking roles, which is fine because there really aren't that many women in. Well, I mean there are now, but like at the start there weren't too many like
makes
really
sense.
fleshed out female characters. But like for me, it just kind of cheapens a lot of what we saw with Alucard. Just the existence of a romance itself cheapens it. But the fact that I now feel like it was like forced heteronormative stuff, I'm like, which again, if you're bi, you don't have to be in relationship with the same sex and like all the time. But like it's hard for me given what happened last season to not see this as a pushback against how they established.
Right. It's a fair point. That's definitely a fair point to make. Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from with that one for sure.
Yeah.
And then there was one thing I did have a point and I forgot. Never mind, I'm gonna clip this out. Also, back to Saint Germain.
Oh, that man.
We're gonna drag him really quickly. That was all I wanted to say. Is just like, first of all, you know, in the previous season, you had like a little bit of pity for him, and this one, I have no fucks to give for Saint Germain. None at all. None.
Dude's just trying to get his stanky ass dick wet. This isn't. And you know, I'm not mad at it because those guys exist.
Right.
But also, like, I'm so happy that man died.
Oh, he did. He got what he deserved.
Exactly. And I think that there's also like, so at first I was kind of like, this is dumb motivation. He's literally just doing it for some booty. But when we think about it, you end up with, and I think that this is like a larger piece of the show that like I don't think a lot of people have talked about, at least not like in articles or anything that I've seen, is so much of the show revolves around love and intimacy, and love and intimacy being the driving force between or behind our actions and our choices and our thoughts, right? So like Dracula is pushed to madness and genocide because of his wife, because of his love for her. Dracula is also makes the choice to stop fighting his son because of love and dies, right? And then you end up Trevor, as much as Trevor is fighting death for whatever reason, he's also fighting it for Sypha and his kid. Alucard is fighting for everybody that he's come to make a bond with, but also the family that he hasn't had. And then you have, I mean, and even when you look at like Isaac and Hector's stories in that second season, when we get their backgrounds, you get to see the perversion of love that they've been taught from humanity, which is trauma and pain and violence.
Right.
And then in their stories are very much overcoming that. Well, not so much in Hector's point, because he's whipped for whatever reason. I'm so sorry, baby. But and then Saint Germain is this, he's bringing about another stage of death through like this perverted idea of love. And I use perverted not as in like, oh yeah, dude was fuck. No, I use perverted as in it's this warped sense of what love is, right? Because we have no idea if this woman reciprocated his feelings.
None. Because she doesn't speak in his flashbacks. He's speaking to her the entire time.
It's like a stalker.
It is. It is. She could have just been his partner.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, maybe that's on purpose. Maybe because we have no, and I'm like, this isn't about like them making a one-dimensional character. This is just because this is how Saint Germain viewed her, as like this one-dimensional character. I think like he complimented her beauty and her skills, but like we don't hear her interacting with him. It's always him talking at her.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I too would run away into the infinite corridor to get away from your incessant talking, Saint Germain.
Exactly.
My God.
So bad. That said, it makes sense. Like we understand it now. And I think that it is beautiful in the way that they did that. In the way that like when you think about Castlevania, you think about like violence and fighting and monster hunters and demons and vampires, and like Powerhouse was like, yeah, it's really a story about love.
Right. Like what will love drive us to do? And I do really appreciate that at its core, is that love is this great motivator for so many characters. And love in a way that comes in different forms, whether that's familial love, or like friendship, or found family, or actual
and I think
love.
too, like I actually think that what's his face? I think that Isaac's version of love is important because it's self-love. It's understanding that he deserves more too.
He does. It definitely
and
does.
that is something that he comes to. That is what he sees. And that's something that I think is really amazing. And it's something that I'm really thankful for, because he also has that example of what love is and what his identity is with all this.
And I mean, like, I just, as we were speaking, like, my piece about like his journey and everything that he goes through came out today, and I'm just like, I really loved Isaac because of how much the series, like, and again, shout out to Powerhouse. Thank you, Powerhouse, because when Isaac was first introduced, I was just like, I just really hope they expound on his character and we get to know more about him, and like they grow and they tell us, like we find out more about his motivations and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like they delivered on that consistently from like season 2 into now. And it's just like the Isaac we met in season 2 is drastically different from the Isaac that we meet in season 4. And you're right, it's because like he's changed and he recognizes the change in himself. He has gone through this transformative journey where he's been able to now find his own sense of agency for himself, where he can control his own life, his own path. And he, like, it's the line where he says, I can use a hammer to crack a skull or build a house. And I'm just like,
that line means so much to me now, hearing that. Like I think going back to Isaac's character, the conversation he has with Saint Germain, or not Saint Germain, with the captain, and both of them being black men, is really important, because like the conversation that the captain has with him isn't like, it is coming from a place of understanding how the world hurts you, but also understanding that you can't just keep a campaign against it. You have to do something more. And the way that Isaac implements that, and I think this also hit like really hard just because of everything that we're going through. The basic message that could have been given was, oh, well, Isaac forgives humanity. He doesn't got to fight it anymore.
Right.
That's not the message. The message is that once you get your agency, you can't just fight to survive. You have to fight for a future. But it isn't about stopping the fight. It's about knowing what you're fighting for. And I think that that is something that is extremely powerful, because it's about owning who you are. It's about owning your choices. And it's about owning the fact that the people around you can't force your hand. You get the choice whether you want to destroy or build, and that is what you get to make. And I think what Isaac represents a really good piece of is sometimes you can destroy because it needs to be destroyed.
Right.
But then you have to be ready to rebuild on top of it. You have to think about what comes after the destruction. And I think the fact that they have him be the one to fight Carmilla is also extremely strong, because both characters, and I wrote about it in my piece about her, they have fought so hard to gain their agency. They have fought hard to not be controlled. But what Carmilla is Carmilla is the version of us who reaches the state of having your agency, but not understanding that not everybody is coming for it. And it's not her fault. Like she says, like she contextualizes the vampire world for us. Vampire men said, let the women die. Vampire men have run everything into the ground. She knows that she will always have to get less than what a man will by doing more. And it's relatable, man. Like I get that. Like being constantly scared that your agency, that your things, that your identity is up for grabs for someone, that's terrifying. And that's why she makes the choices that she does. Like she's driven by this fear of going back to being controlled.
Right.
And I think that as a foil to Isaac, you see what happens when you understand that you can become the tool and the wielder, and you see what happens when you're so worried about somebody else. Because ultimately she still sees herself as a tool. She sees herself as something somebody can come pick up and grab and then move. And it was really powerful. And as much as like that may seem like she's stunted, she's not. It is just that is how she moves through life, and it's valid as well. And her entire end sequence against Isaac when they're talking, and she was like, I'm a queen, I'm nothing but ambition. I'm like, yes, girl, yes, like let's go. And like she literally fills the room with blood, just showing how badass she is. And then I think what really stuck with me, and the reason I'm not upset that she died, is how she died, delivering the lines, "You don't deserve my blood."
Right.
Like not even, like, even in death, she did not let a man take that from her.
Exactly.
And that is what's important.
And it's like, this show really gets you, because like I can love Carmilla, but it's really about the way, like, I don't see Isaac as a villain for wanting to kill her. And I don't see, I mean, like, Carmilla to an extent is a villain for what she did to Hector. But like at the same time, like I can't blame her for her own, for what's happened to her, because it's hinted at of like how she's lived a life of abuse prior, and like how she was controlled, and like everything, like you said, like how her agency was taken away from her at one point. So it's like she has her own motivations and reasons for doing this. It's like when Lenore keeps telling Hector of like, you still miss the point of Camilla, you still don't understand her. I'm like, yes, of course, Hector, and I truly believe no one will understand Carmilla except for her sisters.
Yeah.
No one will ever understand her the way.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, so like one of the things that I see as well is I feel like at the end of the day, she even moved away from her sisters in that,
Mhm.
like, it stopped being about them and started being about, like, I think it was still about them, but it was more about them in the case that, like, women are consistently going to come under attack for these things.
Mhm.
And I think you're right, because like at first you end up with her kind of arguing with Lenore and Lenore being really frustrated.
Mhm.
But then by the end of it, when you have Lenore's final scene, she the way she explains Carmilla to Hector, it's no longer that like she needs to stop expanding, she needs to stop doing this. It's almost like like with Carmilla dying, she finally understands like, oh no, she like there are elements of this that were correct, and there were elements of this that like we can't dismiss Carmilla for all these things.
Mhm.
And I don't think anybody but her sister would. I the other funny thing is I thought it was funny how much Lenore got counted out, because like Striga and Marana are like there and they're just like, well, if Carmilla died, Lenore's long dead already. So
Yeah.
let's go be wives together. And I'm like, yes, do that. You deserve happiness.
Yeah, if there's power in minding your goddamn business and leaving.
It
Because
costs $0 to just sit there and eat your food, and that's what they did.
it is kind of sad though, where they're just like, Lenore has to be dead. We out. We ride
Yep.
west. And I'm just like, damn, that's ruthless. But at the same time, they're fed up with Carmilla's shit. And
Yeah.
not like they hate her. It's just that like they realized that they were going to be stuck in a miserable situation
Yeah.
for the rest of their
I
lives.
think that that was one of the beautiful things too, is you have Striga, who's like this trained soldier.
Hmm.
And after that phenomenally animated scene of her in her day armor, holy shit.
Love it. Love it so
I
much.
want a figure of that. Please make a figurine of her in her day armor. Um After that, she says, I fought them and they weren't farmers. Like in war, it makes sense. You only attack until you lose the advantage, but they're never gonna stop attacking.
Hmm.
Like there was this like deep understanding of the differences in what was happening. And I
Hmm.
thought that like they did a very good nuanced take and explanation of like the differences between the court of Styria, which is very logic driven and understanding, versus Dracula's court, which was
Hmm.
just vampires eat humans.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, so I kind of had this moment where it made me calling back to like Demon Slayer, because we recently talked about this. And it's when Sengoku is talking about humans and like, how we like what makes us better than demons and everything. In a way, the conversation that Striga is having with Marana, it kind of reminded me of that, of just like these people were fighting and they like would not stop. And it's kind of like, yeah, no, humans will keep fighting. It's just Carmilla's plan did not take into an account that people would not fall in line, that people would not give up. And I think it's the realization to them of just like, we would constantly be fighting like this until I die of old age, and we will never see each other. And it's like, yeah, no, people don't, you see them as food, but at the same time, people will not just stop and give up and be your food. They're going to constantly come at you no
Yeah.
matter what. And I think that was like a powerful realization for them. They're just like, oh, this plant's not like it could, like when they were talking about it in season 3, it's like it could work. It could work. Yeah, if we do this, it could work. But then it's like they finally have the realization of like it could work, but at what cost?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought that was like a very powerful thing for them to realize. And it's always funny when we see like vampires and demons, and like especially in anime, because like that's, I feel like that's a trope that's explored when they forget about what makes humans so human and
Yeah.
different from them. But I love it because it's like the vampires haven't been humans for so long, or I don't know if any of them were born vampires, but the whole point is they realize that like they have not been humans, or they're never been humans, so they don't realize what it means to be human. They just they think of humans as food, so they truly
Yeah.
don't understand how the enemy thinks. They think they know how food thinks.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
but your food is your enemy. So
Exactly. And it's almost like this understanding from everybody that world that it's more that people are more, right? That humanity is
Yes.
more. And I think that that is one of the stunning realizations of everybody.
I agree, because it's like even Isaac and Trevor, like everyone kind of comes in like in their own way of kind of like commenting on that, like we've said, how they want to build something more for the future, and like, old things have to die and better futures have to be built, the village, like all these things kind of lead, like add into that. And I think it's beautiful because it's just like, yeah, no, humanity can be beautiful. And it's funny because the series starts off with humanity being terrible and
Yeah.
like absolutely awful to Dracula. And it's all about like, if y'all had just left this man alone, if humanity had just treated this man better and left this man alone, he never would have started all of this. But then it ends up with being like, humanity deserves a better future
Yeah.
than what these old bones could have given it. And it's like
Mhm.
Isaac, the part where Isaac is like, I'm beginning to think that the way Dracula ran things, even before his wife died, might not have been right. And I was just like,
Mhm.
here's the man who was so loyal to Dracula that he would lay down his life to preserve his immortal life because he said his genius was too important for the world. And
Yep.
the fact that like it's the growth of him being able to see if like Dracula was wrong and I need to be better than what
Yeah.
Dracula did. And that for me has been like oh God, I love Isaac so much. I'm sorry. I'll go on like another
He's
Isaac
so good.
rant.
No,
He's just so good.
he's genuinely good.
He
But I do
is.
think like moving away from
Yeah.
those characters, Sypha is so
Mm-hmm.
Sypha as a whole, like she hasn't had like a giant story, but what she has been is the most powerful fucking person in the room. Holy
Mm-hmm.
shit. The way she uses powers now,
It's such a
I just
it's such a big not leap because she was a badass in season 1, like with her
girl
magic.
made
But I'm
a
like,
circular saw out of
yes,
water.
that's true. Because I'm like, these are things that I never would have thought the Avatar and the Last Airbender would think to do. And I mean, like a saw.
When she shot the lightning bow
Mm-hmm.
to kill the bravo to whoever designed her moves
I
and those
love it.
action
I truly do
sequences.
love it. And then like when she just decides she's had enough and she just sets it all to flame. Like I don't know what we call the sequences when like because Castlevania has done it for I think at least all of the main characters, like Trevor they did it in season 3 for Trevor, they did it for Alucard. It's like that moment where like they just become consumed with like whatever's surrounding them. I
Yeah.
don't know, going Super Saiyan. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to call it. Their super move. I
Yeah.
don't know what to call it, but it's like in this season when she did it, and it's just like, damn. It's like the Cypher we meet in season 1, and like I sometimes forget when I rewatch. I'm like, why did Cypher go alone? Oh yeah, that's right, because she's the only
Because
one who
she was
probably
the
can
most
fight.
powerful.
Right, she's the most powerful. She's the only speaker. I think they even say like I'm a speaker magician. So like I assume that means like nobody else in her tribe can do magic. They just are like regular speakers. But it's like as the series goes on, Cypher just keeps getting more powerful. And I have to say, I wonder if she had been the one fighting death.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I just wanted to know like what it would look like. I mean, obviously for many reasons she would not have fought death. But I just feel like Cypher's God mode level shit. Like, I don't know how else to describe her.
Yeah.
I love
I
her so
don't.
much.
She's S tier. I guess like going on from Sypha, like we kind of like when we look at like the overall like, do you think that this show do you think that the show ended the way that you wanted it to, or did it end well but you didn't think any of this was coming?
It ended well. I didn't think any of this was coming. It ended the way I wanted it to because no one I cared about died.
That's fair.
Because
That's fair.
when I tell you, I expected either Trevor to die or Cypher to
Trevor
die.
did die.
Technically, he did die, and Kate had to listen to me sob.
Oh, it was hilarious because I watched it with her after I had already watched it, and I was like, just keep watching.
And
It's
here I am over here just beside myself, sobbing because I'm not okay. I'm just not okay. Thanks, Powerhouse. Thank you so much for that. But anyways, yeah, I honestly, it ended in a way where like I was so satisfied because I'm like, this was the best possible way to end the story for all these characters that we all care about
Yeah.
in a way that did not feel impossible, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Because I knew, like, and I'm assuming from the video games, I assumed that Cypher would live because her and Trevor have a child together.
Yes.
I just assumed that, like, does Trevor die? I don't know. And then I also thought, like, oh my God, what about Alucard? Will something terrible happen to him? So I was expecting for there to be something devastating to happen. So it did make the most sense that something bad was going to happen to
Yeah.
one of the characters that I cared the most about, especially Isaac, because after he came and found peace for himself, I was kind of like, if he dies in this fight with Carmilla, I will riot this bitch. But we're fine. That none of that happened. But sorry. Yeah, so I stick by that answer. It definitely didn't end the way I expected it to, but I'm satisfied with the ending and I like how it ended because it just feels natural. It feels like the ending that these characters in the story deserved. But what about you?
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think that I saw any of this happening. Like,
Mhm.
I think that I very much was not, I don't know, like, I knew that. Actually, I didn't know anything. I'm not gonna try to make myself think smarter than it was. I knew nothing. I knew nothing was that. I could not have predicted any of this. But when I watched it, and now having it watched it so many times, I can't picture another ending
Mhm.
for this,
Yeah.
for all these stories. And I think because of that, it's perfect. Like, I can think of so many other things that I have watched, and immediately my brain goes into, well, what if they had done this? What if they had done that mode?
Mhm.
And my brain didn't do that. Like, every time I have watched the finale, I have seen more things that I have just come to understand, and I have just, like, I've gotten a greater appreciation into what came to fulfilling these, like, these arcs and these stories. Like, I don't think that there is a finale that more honors the character than this,
Mhm.
because when we so Sunday last Sunday we did an entire binge from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m., or like about maybe about 1, when we watched every episode of Castlevania. Like, we
Mhm.
binged all of it together. And watching everything back to back, because I had done a rewatch, but I had done a rewatch over a few days, and then I watched the fourth season. But watching it all in one sitting, I gained a new appreciation for how many small tender moments they brought from the first season, from the second season, from the third season, all the way into the fourth.
Mhm.
Like, maybe because like the Mass Effect Legendary Edition's out and that's where my brain is. But like, it reminded me of Mass Effect in the way that when you play Mass Effect, you make choices in the game. And by the third game, you see the culmination of every choice you've ever made. Like, even the small choices that you made in 1 and 2, the 2 games before it. That's what I felt like Castlevania season 4 was. It
Mhm.
was the culmination of every step and every choice and every action that was made up until that point by those characters.
Mhm.
So I didn't expect it. Um and this is, I mean, the only thing I wanted was, I wanted Alucard happy, and he's happy. So like,
Honestly,
I'm good.
I just wanted the reunion. I wanted the reunion to happen on good terms. Like, I don't know why. I just, for some reason, thought like, oh my god, what if the worst thing happens and like they have to go and fight Alucard? I don't know. My brain was all over the place because I did not know where this was before watching what the setup for this season was going to be. So
Yeah.
like when we knew that we were getting season 4, I was going to be like, after season 3, I was just like, what if Alucard goes to the dark side? What if Sypha and Trevor have to go fight him? What if, like, my brain was going everywhere. So like I really did not know what to expect with this story and like how they were going to end everything. But like when I tell you, I'm just like, I'm just so satisfied. I've never felt this satisfied by any project I've ever consumed, and it's just so good. And speaking of
Dude,
things, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of things that we did not expect, do we want to talk about the last 5 minutes?
Oh my God. Yes, please.
Because, oh my God, if we weren't already satisfied with the fact of Trevor still being alive, Lisa and Dracula are alive. And
That
they get a
dude,
second chance.
you know what? Do I hate Saint Germain and his dusty ass dick? Yes, I do.
Yes,
I hate
absolutely.
it. I hate him. I hate it all. But at least he saved them. Oh my God.
At least he did something right
Yeah.
with his insignificant, just petty little life. Like he's an asshole. There's no debating that. But after forcing Dracula and his wife into a corpse's body, and dragging them out of hell from like them being reunited, it felt like it was the only right thing to do, was to like literally give them the second chance that they both deserved. And I mean, like, just the whole exchange that they have with one another, and like that they're able to finally have with one another again, where she's just like, so I guess we're gonna talk about it. I died and you weren't there, and then you died. And I was
I
just like,
wasn't there. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
I'm just like, wow, I've missed seeing them together so much because we haven't seen them together since the first episode.
I love them. It's so healthy. It's
It
so
is.
healthy. It's so healthy for like everything that they've been through.
It is. It
I
truly is.
just,
And
I love
Dracula
them.
deserved to be happy. Like truly, he. I hold that Dracula. Yes, he is the villain of the video games, and he is the villain in the series. But I will always say, if they had just left that man the hell alone, he would have never started the apocalypse, and the world never would have gone into chaos.
If people weren't so fucking rude, none of that would happen.
None of it would have happened. I feel like that's the other lesson here. First lesson is love will make you do a lot of things. Start the apocalypse, build a better future.
Start the apocalypse again.
Yup.
That's some stanky ass love, but it was love.
Time travel just to get some, get laid. But that's not love, that's obsession. But we're not going back down that.
It's a perverted kind of love, but yes.
Yes. Ugh, he grosses me out. But but
nobody wants that, Saint Germain. Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants Saint Germain, and I just he makes my skin crawl. But man. Oh, and also I guess one other thing. Did you see the thing with Varney coming at all? I was because no indication of who the true big villain was this season. Had no idea who it was going to be, because at first I had just assumed that, like, okay, Isaac's going to clash with Styria, which means he's going to go up against Hector and Carmilla, which then we see how that plays out. And I'm like, okay, if Carmilla's dead, what does that leave, Alucard, Sypha, and Trevor to fight? And then you learn of like what Saint Germain's been up to, and then you learn who he's been working with, and then it's revealed that Varney, he sounds like some British rocker. I swear, I need to look up who is voicing Varney.
I looked him up. Hold on.
Okay, because I swear, if it's somebody who is like a British,
it's Malcolm McDowell. Look up his name and look up his face. You won't know his name, but you will know his face.
Okay, you know me very well.
Well, this dude is a real good character actor.
Oh, him. Yes. Wow. The man from Haunted Mansion. This is the butler from Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
I'm tripping because this is the butler from Haunted Mansion. Okay, well, bravo to you, sir. That was a great performance. Just
Bill
no,
Nye plays Saint Germain.
no.
Yeah.
Bill Nye can act like that?
Not Bill Nye the science guy. Bill Nye the British guy.
You have to actually tell me there's a different Bill Nye, Kate.
Ma'am.
You say Bill Nye.
Uncultured.
How many people are going to think Bill Nye the science guy first?
Dumb Americans. I just dropped it to you in chat. There's a link of all. Wait, what? Theo James plays Hector?
Yes.
Dear Lord, I did not know that.
I looked up Hector immediately after that sex scene.
Theo James can get it.
I
Oh
know.
my God.
I know. Wow. Look at us. Just the thirst.
You know what? Adetokunbo McCormick, who plays Isaac, could play him in real life.
He could. Also, he
looking at
plays and he also plays Kofi in
That's amazing.
God, what is the
In Blood of Zeus?
Blood of Zeus? Thank you.
Yeah,
I was
that's
about to say
awesome.
Gods and Monsters. I'm like, that is not what it's called.
Technically, that was its original name.
That is what it was. Look at me. Look at me. My accessing those memories.
Mhm.
But yes, I love the show so much, and the voice acting. Bravo
Man,
to all
I
of them.
would kill to get what do you call it? Interviews with all of these people. Like, so good. So good. All these voice actors. So good.
Mm-hmm. They did everyone justice, and I just appreciate them all. Oh, now give us the spinoffs. Just give us the spinoffs.
Yeah.
But back to the thing. Yeah, never saw the ending. Never saw Varney being death, the incarnate of
Varney being the alchemist and the alchemist being death. There was 2 layers there.
Right. Which a third layer, because you had an interesting theory.
Yeah, so Miranda from the 3rd season, the singular lady who tells Isaac to go kill everybody in the city. That was death, right? Like I think that was death.
So I'm going to go off of yes, mainly because of the color scheme, because I'm going off of 2 things. The alchemist lady that Saint Germain meets matches the same color scheme as Death's color scheme, and Miranda also matches that
they're
color
all
scheme.
grayed out.
They're all grayed out. They all have hints of blue, and I'm kind of just like, you know what? And then you get the sense, because Isaac's like, I smell magic on you, and he assumes she's a witch, just an old witch who's not that powerful anymore.
Yeah.
But at the end of that fight, when Isaac takes over and kills that evil wizard, you get a sense that there was something more powerful in her. And I just feel like there was something more to her for it to be just thrown away. And maybe we're just digging, but in my head canon, that was death.
Yep.
And that was death just laying the traps, because death wanted Isaac to be a part of the plan originally too, but Isaac was just like, my plans right now are more important than bringing Dracula back to life. Which again, look at our boy, growth, because he prioritized his own task before reviving Dracula. Also, I feel like Isaac is the only one who truly understands that Dracula would want rest.
Yes. Also, so. Oh, sorry for the yawn, but I've discussed it with somebody else, and we weren't even talking about Castlevania, but some characters need to die because they deserve rest, because they need to it is okay for your character to just end.
It's why
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, and it's why for me, the scene where Alucard goes through with killing Dracula makes sense. Alucard knows that his father wants to die and that he's hurting, and that he's like, it's very obvious that Dracula just wants the world to burn. He's like, this whole thing has been the world's longest suicide note. You want to die. You want me to kill you. And it's sad that Alucard feels like he's the one that has to do it in order to like save the world, but also in a way give his father rest. And
Yeah.
I don't, and it's like, I feel like a lot of people will just be like, well, no, it looked like he was coming around and he was going to hug, like, yeah, he was going to hug him after he staked him through the heart. But like, the fact of the matter was, Dracula wasn't the man that he used to be.
Yeah.
And Alucard could see that, and he knows he needed rest.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he went ahead and did it, why he went ahead and killed him, even though it seemed like Dracula, in his own way, came to the realization of like, I'm killing our boy, Lisa. I'm killing him.
God, doing that
Ah,
entire binge, like Powerhouse comes for your throat.
it
Like
does.
I don't. It's perfect. It's perfect.
I
Um,
can't wait for the next project. I mean, like,
I can't
Powerhouse.
either. Like one, I want Desmano season 2. I don't
Yes.
like literally halt everything else you're doing and give me Sesmano season 2. Please,
Do
please,
we have
please.
to tell us how many times we have to stream it? Because I'll do my part.
I know. I am BTS army, yo. Like I will stream. I will get those stream goals like I do for my boys. Like by rest assured I will do it. Tell me what I need to do.
Hmm.
Mm,
It's just too good. It's too good to only end with one season.
it really is.
But oof.
That and the way it ended. Like
Hmm.
that is just not a good way to end a season.
At least give us
I
a
know.
2 hour movie.
Yeah.
Please,
Give me something
Netflix.
small.
Yes.
Um,
But any other last thoughts for Castlevania?
it was perfect. That's really my last thoughts. It was perfect. I don't even like He-Man, but I'm going to watch He-Man Masters of the Universe because it's coming from Powerhouse.
I'm literally hyped for He-Man. I've only watched He-Man a handful of times when I was a kid with my dad. I'm not even a big He-Man fan, but you know what? I am a fan of himbos. And you know what He-Man looked like? A himbo.
Himbo. Yeah. I give zero shits about He-Man. I really could not care.
Don't care
But
much.
also, I would like to watch. I would like to see.
I'm here for all the blood and action that looks like we're getting in this adult
Mhm.
animation of
All
He-Man.
all I know is that Powerhouse has not let me down yet, and therefore I will watch.
Yes. I mean, basically, and don't they have another project coming out too? They have, you know what, Powerhouse, just keep it coming.
What
Keep it
do they
coming.
have coming out? I thought they only had He-Man.
Someone said something about a Skull Island, didn't they? This is when we were doing the watch party.
Oh, yeah, no, they're right. Yeah, they're doing the Kong Skull, like the Kong Skull Island thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be dope. I trust my kaiju babies with them.
Yes. Oh my God, just give Powerhouse everything. I'm so excited.
Seriously though, like nobody's doing it like them at all. Like
Seriously.
I want every Japanese product to go to Mappa, and I want every American property to
Mm-hmm.
go to Powerhouse.
Yes. I trust my
End of
big
story.
my big three, my trinity of animation studios are Trigger and Mappa and Powerhouse.
That's
That
fair.
and that I mean, again, the standard has been met and set beyond everything we've seen thus far after this. So
Yeah.
I just I need everyone to learn from Powerhouse. Like
Yeah.
everyone. I will accept nothing less. I'm sure I will though, because what else will I watch now that Castlevania is over?
I don't know, man. That's the thing. Like Castlevania has turned into my comfort series. Like I realized when we were watching it, like well, I have seen the whole series through 6 times.
Hmm.
I guess the whole series was season 4 5 times. The whole series, the 1 through 3 I've seen about 7 times, and
Yep.
then I've seen individual episodes way more than that. And I've seen individual episodes way more than that because like when I am tired and I just want to watch something and I just want to put something on, I do put on Castlevania because it's that
Hmm.
show that like it gives me joy and I just want to keep coming back.
It's
And I think
good.
that like building that type of animation beauty and story to where somebody wants to keep coming back to you years after they know the story that they're getting,
Hmm.
you can't beat that.
Yeah, I mean, I watched season one, which was only 4 episodes, no less than 10 times because it took
Yeah.
2 years until we got season two.
Yeah.
So I literally just kept on like watching it because I'm like, this is so good and I love it. And I just keep coming back to it. Even to this day, I
Yeah.
can go start it and I can enjoy it the same way I enjoy it now. And I can find something
Yeah.
else I love about it. But, uh,
Yeah, and I also think that like one of the things that like I really want to point out that they've been able to do is Castlevania at the end of the day is a dark high fantasy series or a dark
mhm,
fantasy series. I don't want to hear anybody ever say that people of color can't be in fantasy because Powerhouse did that shit and they did that shit with beauty.
yes.
They understand brown skin tones, and I will say this for every damn review I write for them. I write of their content. They understand it in a way that I have not seen any animation company, American or otherwise,
Hmm.
understand it. And that is amazing. And not only that, we're not in stereotypical like pieces. Like when you look at it, like Isaac is literally the strongest and most important character of the series.
Hmm. He is. And I agree. Like the fact that they're able to give you various skin tones and like show you how skin tones work in different lighting, like it's amazing. And I feel like it's something that me and you talk about it all the time when we see characters of color, specifically black and brown characters, because it's something very noticeable. Is like my first thing that I look at the characters is their hands,
Yeah.
because I will like dead ass look at their hands and look for that like almost like that gradient, like to see the different color,
Yeah.
like how striking is it, and then how bad is it, because it's like, come on.
I love you, Mappa. But what the fuck was that skin coloring in Yasuke?
I have many feelings, and we still have to do that recording
Yeah.
because, yes, that is one of them. That is an example of where it can be done better. And it's just like, I'm tired. Like when people say, like, well, we don't know how to draw, black characters, we don't know how to draw brown characters. I'm like, you know what? I find it very I find that statement to be insulting, one, because if you
Mm-hmm.
are working for a studio, if you are animating, if you went to art school, chances are you took classes and you learned how to draw things that you didn't know how to draw before.
Mm-hmm.
So it all just comes down to effort. If you don't know how to draw or color or to shade characters of color, you can learn. And you know what? Powerhouse and Studios, they delivered and they showed you that it's possible. So I accept nothing less.
Ahem. If Cowboy fucking Bebop could do it in the 90s, your ass can do it in 2021.
Shoot, listen, if Megalobox, another great one that knows how to do it.
Joe is Mexican, and I stand by that, and everybody else can kiss my goddamn ass.
The fact that people disagree is funny, because I'm just like, season two is literally screaming at y'all with the title that this man is Mexican. So
Mhm.
y'all got people don't want to accept
I
it, but
will fight someone for saying that Joe is not Mexican.
Joe is
Or at the
clearly
very
Mexican.
least Latino. Like
I mean, just wait for the
Mexican.
dub. I'm pretty sure like we're going to see, I don't know. People are hopefully will eat their words and shut up.
Yeah. This has gone a far way off from
Yes.
Castlevania. And it's over an hour. If you're
Yes.
listening to this, I hope you really liked it. I hope that you go watch Castlevania right now. I hope that you go support Powerhouse. Honestly, and I always get worried as a critic, like going for a studio so hard. But like I genuinely believe in everything that they do. Like I have not seen a studio embrace diversity in this way. I have not seen
Hmm.
a studio animate action sequences this way. I have not seen a studio know how to do storytelling this way. And this is from Castlevania, this is from Blood of Zeus, this is from Seis Manos. I don't just love them because they're Austin based, and I don't just love them because they're a US studio. I love them because they bring it, and they bring it every time. And I'm really selective about things that I champion and I support. And I think if you're listening to this and you haven't gone through and looked at all their Netflix stuff, like, please go through and watch it. It's really good. And we are getting a Blood of Zeus season 2. So that's good.
Yes.
Still want this Mono season 2 though.
Yes. I'm excited. I'm like, give me that. Please.
Yep.
But with that brings us to a close. Kate, you want to tell them where they can find you and the show?
Yeah, you can find the show at DYHD_pod. And if you want to support us on Patreon, because we deserve it, we do hard work, please love us. Please give us monies. For $1, you can get access to Manga Trash, where me and Nisha talk about smutty manga. Very smutty manga.
Ooh, could the next episode of Manga Trash just be us finding the smuttiest Castlevania fan fiction?
I'd be down with that. I haven't read fan fiction in a hot minute, but if you give me some throuple shit.
Okay, I'm pretty sure, like, I checked this weekend after the series dropped, after the last one dropped, and like titles have quadrupled. People have been writing, so maybe we should.
Nisha. Oh, and you can find me at Omar3Andir, where I'm consistently talking about Alucard's titties.
Yes.
Which is weird. I do want to point out, I forget that people who worked on Castlevania follow me. And then when I see them like me, like shit posting about Castlevania, making a dumbass joke or being like, Alucard titties. I'm like, oh no, fuck. You're somebody I respect. Why are you reading my timeline?
I love it though. It's just like titties.
Titties.
And also, yes, y'all can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nisha Plays, where I will eventually be doing more cosplays now that I got my hair did and I look like somebody again. I mean, I looked like somebody before. I was just tired of doing a bun and having to comb my hair out. So now cosplays are coming. Y'all gonna see braids. But anyways, with that, were y'all as satisfied with this series finale of Castlevania as we were? Do you think Alucard's titties take up the screen? And do you all hate Saint Germain as much as we do? Find out next time on Did You Have To? Bye! Did You Have To is co-produced by Kate Sanchez and LaNeysha Campbell. Our intro is done by Dr. Emery Stephen Daniel. And our outro and intro music is by Benjamin Tissot, aka Ben Sound.